Hi, everyone. Welcome, warm welcome to the class of 26 students and families. My name is Andre Rodriguez. I am the principal of our amazing school. This evening, we're going to be providing you with a lot of information. You're going to have an opportunity to meet some of our teachers. We have some of our current parents on the call as well. After the session, we're going to stick around for some questions. We're also excited to host some in-person tours. We've added a second in-person tour this month. We will have one on Thursday, 1 p.m., and a second one on the 29th of June at 10 a.m. I hope to see you all there in person. I hope you had a wonderful school year. And once again, welcome class of 26 to NYC Museum School. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Lowy, who will MC this evening's orientation. Mr. Lowy.
Good evening, everybody. It's so nice to see some faces and names that we are familiar with by looking at your names on our list. So it's nice to start to get to know you in person, virtually, that we will get to know you in person very soon. We have a lot of things to cover tonight. One of the most important things that we're going to ask everybody to take note of, and this slide will come up later in the presentation as well, is that we've got a special ninth grade Google Classroom. I think probably everybody at this point is used to using Google Classroom if you've been in the school system for the last couple of years. If not, you can speak to one of us afterwards. But ultimately, if you join this Google Classroom, which should allow for students and parents to join, even if you're not a part of the organization, this is our ninth grade class of 2026 Google Classroom, and it's going to be the easiest way that we can communicate with you over the summer to talk about the summer assignments. We'll post a supply list, any other announcements or surveys that we have for you. And that way you can just keep in touch with us and you'll already be integrated into a part of our community and learn all the great things that are about museum school. So again, the letters are BRPTRGO, and you will be able to see that slide again later if you didn't make note of it or take a screenshot of it. So I will. Oops, too fast. Sorry, hang on a second. There we go. Okay, so first we're going to give you an overview of our ninth grade classes. And as you would in most schools, these are the classes that our ninth grade students take here at the museum school. Of course, everyone takes English with Miss Wynn, our English teacher, who is on the call, and we'll get to introduce her and whoever the other teachers here in just a minute. But students will take English, they'll take Global History 1, algebra or geometry. So if you have been taking algebra in 8th grade and score 75 or higher on your algebra Regents exam, you'll be placed in geometry. If not, you'll be placed in algebra for 9th grade math. Then for 9th grade science, there is living environment or marine biology. And similarly, if you score 70, if you're in the living environment class now and take the Regents and score 75, you'll be in marine biology. If not, you'll be in living environment. For foreign language, students come in taking, if you have been taking Spanish in middle school, you will have the opportunity to continue with Spanish 2 when you're in 9th grade. And that is if you've been taking Spanish and passed the New York State proficiency exam in Spanish. If you've passed the proficiency exam, which earns you 1 year of high school language credit, then you will move to Spanish 2. If you have not been taking Spanish at all, you will be given the opportunity to take Japanese 1 or French 1. We will not be offering Spanish 1 this year. We just don't have the capacity to do so. So if you're beginning a foreign language, you can begin with Japanese or French. If you're continuing Spanish, you will be able to continue into Spanish 2. Now, in terms of other physical opportunities, there is our physical education class, our regular phys ed class in the gym. Or some students have the opportunity to participate in our Hudson River Community Sailing Program, which can also earn you physical education credit. All 9th grade students take health, all 9th grade students take art, and there are 4 museum modules. And those are the history of world religions, biodiversity, identities, and Latin American colonization and cultures. So this is what we just referenced in terms of the algebra Regents exam. Students who earn a 75 or more on the algebra exam will be programmed for geometry next year. Academic policy allows students to take 2 years of any math course for high school credit, so all other students will take algebra next year to earn college readiness scores to prepare for higher level. of your teachers are here on the call. So I'm just going to ask when I get to, I can't see everybody, but when I get to those teachers' names, if they're here, just unmute and say hello. I know Ms. Wynn, your English teacher, is here. So Ms. Wynn, you want to say hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
We sure can.
Very good. Welcome, everyone. My name is Miss Wynn, and I will be your child's 9th grade English teacher. It will be an absolute pleasure to meet everyone, and just welcome.
And I don't think Mr. Elena is on, but Mr. Elena, if you are on, say hello. While we will go down the list, Ms. Carr and Ms. Mendez are your social studies teachers. I don't think either one is here either. Ms. Schleisman is here. She is your algebra teacher if you're going to be taking algebra. Ms. Schleisman, you can unmute and say hi.
Everyone, nice to see you all.
Then we've got, and Ms. Vizio, I think, is here too. Andrea, why don't you?
Yes, I am. I'm actually still at school.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Looking forward to the fall. Enjoy your summer, and we have a lot to do.
If you take geometry, your teacher will be Mr. Stein. He is here too. Mr. Stein, say hello.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to meet everybody. I look forward to meeting you in the class next fall. So have a great summer.
I know Ms. Benjamin is not able to join us tonight. Ms. Austin should be here. Ms. Austin, if you're here, you can say hello. She may not be here, actually. She makes it here. She can, I'll let her jump in and say hello. And our Japanese teacher, Ms. Say, I don't think is here also, but if so, Sensei, you can say hi. Ms. Abraham is our art teacher. She is not here. Mr. Urbach is here. I saw him sign in. So Mr. Urbach, if you're there.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, welcome everybody. I'm a physical education teacher. Look forward to meeting all you guys in the fall and hope you guys have a great rest of the summer.
And then finally, we've got Ms. Williams, our guidance counselor. Is she here? Not sure if she's here tonight. I don't think she is. And then Ms. Metellus. I don't think she's here. All right. Well, those are your teachers, and you've been able to meet some of them. When you come in person, you'll be able to see people if we're here for a tour. And certainly in our August welcome date, you'll be able to meet all of these people. So I'm happy that many of you could be here tonight. All right, so some information about the school, basic information that everybody's going to want to know. Our school day is 8:30 to 2:50 every day for students. So you should expect not to arrive at 8:30. You should at least arrive by 8:20, so you've got enough time to come in. And you can arrive as early as 8 o'clock to get breakfast served in the cafeteria if you wish. Lunch is 11:17 to 12:02 every day. Students have the ability, the privilege to go out for lunch, and many students do. They can go out and get something locally and bring it back, but a full breakfast and a full lunch is served in our cafeteria for any student that wishes to eat here in the school building itself. Now, we have mentioned our museum module before, and as you probably know by doing your research for schools, our museum module weeks are the thing that makes our school very special. These are the weeks when students do not take their regular classes, and instead they take classes at our local museums or other cultural institutions that are connected to their core classes. So there are 4 weeks during the school year where each day during those weeks, students will be traveling with their classes to some offsite location. And those are the weeks. You will get a calendar with much more explicit information, but if you wish to make note of them now, you can see that they are October 17th to 21st, December 5th through 9th, March 6th through 10th, and May 22nd to 26th. These is just a quick snapshot of some of the places, of all of the places really that our 9th grade visits. And it can change every year as exhibits change and as different experiences are generated by our teachers and by our students and families. But this is a nice array of different museums that our students visit throughout the year. We've got plenty of student supports in place for students as necessary. For example, there is a new Department of Education online grading and communications portal. Many of you might be used to something called Pupil Path or Jupiter Grades from your middle schools, or maybe some other similar programs. The Department of Education has created its own system that will work hand in hand with your NYC Students account, which many parents and students already log into to see attendance information, transcript information, to complete vaccination update information, etc. So now this portal will be in sync with that portal. So it'll be one uniform system. It'll be new. So all of our teachers haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet. We'll be trained on it. But this will be a new online portal that will be easy to access for students and families, limiting the different logins that you'll have to have for every one of these systems. So that will be helpful for you. Then we mentioned some of our other support services, our guidance counselors, and our social worker, Ms. Williams and Ms. Vitellis. And then as you continue in the year and certainly into your later grades, you'll meet Ms. Ortiz, our college counselor. We've got academic intervention services that include and are not limited to ICT team teaching. Every subject has ICT team teaching. It stands for integrated collaborative teaching, and small group instructional pullout as needed. We have after school tutoring arranged with teachers on a rolling basis. We will be offering Saturday Academy when we get closer to exam time in the spring, and Wellness Wednesday activities, which has become a museum school tradition where one Wednesday every month, students engage in something called Wellness Wednesday, where we do special activities that really focus on students' social, emotional well-being. Sports is a big pull of interest for our school. So you can see that we have many sports teams to offer. Much more information will be coming out, especially about fall teams, and you can certainly check the Google Classroom for that information, because some of the fall teams have tryouts in late August before the school year actually begins. But you can just take a look quickly at what's offered. We share our teams with the Lab School, which shares our building. So the team name is the Lab Museum United Gators, the LMU Gators. And these are all of our sports teams, fall, winter, and spring. The athletic directors, if you wish to take note of their email addresses, you can certainly do so and send them any email that you wish. It doesn't matter if it's summertime or right now. If you have questions, they're happy to answer you. Ms. Padron is on a maternity leave right now, so she may be slower to answer you, but both of these function as co-directors. They both work at Lab School, but we work very closely with them. So Henry Reyes is HReyes8, the number 8, at schools.nyc.gov, and Michelle Padron, which is just M Padron at nyclabschool.org. So here's some more information about our sports programs. Tryouts. Everyone must attend tryouts regardless of your grade level. No one is just grandfathered into the team, right? This applies to every year. As I mentioned, our tryouts usually begin 1 to 2 weeks prior to the first day of school, which will be determined by each coach. And then since we only have one varsity team for all of our sports, except for basketball, it is a competitive process. So if you are an incoming 9th grader and you try out, you don't make the team in 9th grade, don't worry. You've got opportunities in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And then fall triad information will be sent out soon to all families. There's practice information here too. The practices are generally 3 to 5 days per week. So you do need to know that you can commit to that, and you need to know academically that you can commit to that as well. We don't want students in any grade to commit to a sports team, but have their grades fall off because they're unable to keep up with the coursework that's also required to do well in school. But sports is an essential part of our program. We're very, very happy to offer it. We've always encouraged students to participate in sports if they're able to. And the games take place after school, during the week, sometimes on the weekend. Sometimes students have to leave early from school to attend these games, but we always make sure that teachers are well informed and that students know that they can make up whatever work they miss if they have to leave early. There are some forms that you'll be able to get to on our website, which you probably already visited, nycmuseumschool.org, under students, under PSAL, which is, again, public school athletic league. That's what you will do to find those forms that will be required for sports tryouts. We have a ton of clubs. This is just this year's offering of clubs. I think almost all of them have been offering this year, and the ones that say possible are ones that maybe haven't been offered this year, but have been offered in the past. So we've got lots and lots of opportunities. I'm certainly not going to read them all to you. I will maybe talk for a second about Hudson River Community Sailing, because it's a little bit more than a club. It is an opportunity for students to learn the physical education aspects, the science aspects, and the math aspects of sailing. Even some of the history of New York Harbor. It's in partnership with the organization Hudson River Community Sailing. And this year they're going to select 15 9th grade students, and we'll have some hand in that selection process as well, but 15 students to attend their once a week after school program, where they will not only get out on sailboats and learn how to do those great activities, but they'll learn how to build a boat. They'll learn the physics behind sailing. They'll learn about how we are good stewards of New York Harbor. It's an amazing program that can continue for actually all 4 years if students really get excited about it. So that's a special program that not only gets you a club type opportunity, but also earns you some academic credits. And then you can see all these others here that I'm not going to read, but you can certainly take a look at them. All right, special events. We've got regularly scheduled assemblies, talent shows, themed dances, blood drives, a very special cultural night, as you have probably known and seen by looking at our statistics, and maybe even looking at the Zoom call before I shared my screen. The Museum School prides itself in its diversity, and we really celebrate that every year with our cultural festivity. Special Light the Night fundraiser with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, Spirit Week, faculty student basketball game, an art show, and a literary reading and art show. All right, this is going to be, I'm not going to go over all of the supplies, but this will be in the Google Classroom as well. If you can, if you have the means to secure your own laptop, that is best. We've been loaning laptops very happily to students who need them, but ultimately students find it best when they're able to have their own laptop. And by laptop, I mean a Chromebook as well. They are in high demand, but you should be able to find one if you are able to. But again, don't worry. If not, the school can provide one for you on permanent loan. We're also asking students to get a TI-84 Plus graphing calculator. Those are always useful, and you really will want your own of that. But again, we can provide one to you for in-class use if needed, but we don't actually loan those out regularly to students to take with them back and forth. Those are classroom sets that we can loan you in class, but it's best if you can invest in your own TI-84 Plus graphing calculator. Math and foreign language use spiral notebooks. The humanities and science often use 3-ring binders. We are asking everybody to have pocket folders, subject dividers, highlighters, etc. Everything that you see here. It's important as well that you have 2 combination locks, one for your hallway locker and then one that you will bring with you when you have phys ed to lock on your phys ed locker. A lot of students have not gotten the second lock very often, and their belongings aren't as secure as we want them to be. So we're definitely asking everybody to get 2 combination locks, please. Now, this is really key. If you also can have access to a printer, there's a mad rush every morning for students who need to print work to come into school and get to the office or the computer lab and get a printer. So if you have a printer at home, great, if you can invest in one. Again, if you can, of course, please don't extend yourself in any means that you're unable. But if you are, that's very helpful for you to have so students can print their own work. Pens and a 3-hole punch are also useful. Our summer reading assignment for English, oh wait, is this, Ms. Hindalong, you want to talk about this, or do we have?
Yeah, actually, I was gonna maybe. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Miss Hindalong. I'm the other assistant principal. And Miss Wynn is on the call too. So maybe Miss Wynn, you and I can kind of just share the plan for having the 9th graders read The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Ms. Hindalong. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see these slide because I'm working off of my phone. But yes, we are planning to have students read The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks and to answer some questions regarding the book. I found it a very fascinating book. There may be some students who are already familiar with it, but I think the majority are not. So we are asking you to sort of check what the assignment is, and be ready to talk about it come September. Should I go on about some of the other things that we're going to be doing, or is this not the time?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I just
Totally
wanted to
fine.
make
Go
sure.
ahead.
Our syllabus will be posted at some point on the in the Google Classroom for this class, for the English class. But we of course are going to have a lot of representation in what you would absolutely expect from an English class. So we will be doing novels, we'll be doing short stories, we'll be doing a play, maybe a couple of plays. We'll be doing Shakespeare and again, poetry, current events we will cover as things come to fruition. Students will be able to have an opportunity to do a great deal of writing and presentations, projects, that type of thing. So we're very much looking forward to your students coming here and engaging in class. That's it.
So we recommend families, if you are able to purchase the book, that's going to be the best thing, because then students can write in, write notes and everything. As a school, we read the book, but I think 2 years ago in the summer, and there's so much, there's science, there's history, there's a lot to discuss after you read the book. So we recommend that you go out and purchase it, maybe a physical copy of the book, so you can write in the book.
Post-it notes, please. Lots and lots of Post-its.
And this will be posted in the Google Classroom as well, this assignment. But if you wanted to take note of the name of the book as well, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. All right, I am going to move into math right now. And Ms. Schleisman wanted to talk a little bit about the math assignment. So I'm also going to turn this over to her.
Thank you. Hi, everyone again. So I'm the Algebra 1 teacher. Mr. Stein is the geometry teacher. He's also on this call. So Mr. Stein, feel free to jump in if there's anything that I miss. But if you got into the Google Classroom already, there's 2 math assignments on there. Mr. Lowy, could you share the classwork page of the Google Classroom just in case?
It's going to take a second because I have to get there.
No problem. So there's 2 assignments while Mr. Lowy is pulling that up. The first assignment is just a Google form for us to get to know you as a math student. So it has just things like your name, pronouns, things like that. And then later down, what's one thing that you they feel like you're able to teach somebody else. One thing that from 8th grade that you think that you can teach somebody else. And what's one topic that you think you might not be able to teach somebody else. So questions like that are more so just your feelings and what your takeaways from your past math experiences have been. The second assignment is more so why I would like Mr. Lowy to share his screen, because there's a lot of directions in that post. So underneath math assignment number 2, if you look at the assignment, it's a PDF that is attached. And again, if you're not in the Google Classroom just yet, don't worry if you aren't in there. We'll get you set up with that, no problem. But the assignment is a PDF with 7 math examples that will just let Mr. Stein, myself, Ms. Vizu, and Mr. Wolfson, who are also our co-teachers, let us know what you remember from 8th grade. So we want to see your work. We want to kind of get an understanding prior to you doing math work in our room, get an understanding of where you're at and what you remember from 8th grade. So there's a lot of different options in completing this, which it's kind of a long Google Classroom post, so forgive me for that.
It's on right now, if you can see the screen.
Perfect. If you could, so this is the PDF itself. If you could actually just show the directions that are posted on Google Classroom, just so we can read. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different bullets of options of how to do this. If you're familiar with Kami and know how to edit a PDF, you can complete this assignment that way and turn it in. I think Google Classroom on the student end says mark as done, but I just always assumed it said turn in. Whatever it says to submit the assignment, complete that after you've edited the PDF using Kami. If you're not familiar with that, the next option, if you have access to a printer, you can print the PDF out and you can complete it by hand. And then you can either turn in photos on Google Classroom of your work or just hold off till the first day of school and hand in the physical copy to whatever math teacher you have so that we can go through it. The third option is if you are coming to the in-person tours this week and next week, we'll have physical copies available for you either in the main office or in my room or Mr. Stein's room. We haven't just decided a location yet, but there will be a physical copy available for you if you would like to pick it up. And then turning in options, the same thing. You can take photos of it and submit it, or you can just hand it in person on the first day of school to whoever is your math teacher, whether that be myself or Mr. Stein. And then the fourth option, if you don't know how to use Kami, if you don't have access to a printer, if you don't come in to school and pick up a physical copy, if you just complete the problems on a piece of loose leaf, as long as you make sure you label example 1 and then complete the math work there, that again, you can take a photo of it and turn it on Google Classroom, or submit the physical copy to myself or Mr. Stein on the first day of school. So that's kind of why I wanted to go through this, because there's a lot of options. You just have to do one of them. Whatever works the best for you. I know online school, we all kind of have this practice of completing math online. Mr. Stein and I prefer the physical copy turned into us in person. Math is just so much better after looking at it on paper and writing it on paper and all of that. But whichever works best for you, go ahead and choose that option. The most important thing as you look through these problems, they're all short answer problems. We are doing this just to kind of see where you're at. Like I said before, we want to know what your math skills, what you remember from 8th grade, what you're able to do. We want to get a sense of that as soon as possible. And the best way that we're able to do this is not just with a correct answer, but you have to show your work. Sometimes the work is, well, actually not even sometimes, all the time, the work is so much more important to us to get to know who you are as a math person rather than just the correct answer. Because if somebody can plug in and just get a right answer and put it down, that's great. But knowing the process and showing the work that leads up to that correct answer is so much more valuable to us as your math teachers. So I'm saying a lot. I'm sorry I've gone on quite a rant, but you have all these different options of completing this assignment. And most importantly, please, 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 please show all of your work. And that's all. Thank you.
Ms. Murphy. Give me 1 minute to get back to the presentation itself, and we will resume.
Hi. Hi, Spanish.
Sí, yo hablo español. Bueno, si tienen preguntas después de la presentación podemos hablar.
Okay, es que no lo entiendo.
Oh, lo siento. Bueno, después, bueno, podemos hablar un poquito después de la presentación. Si a usted o a alguien necesite una traducción en español, yo puedo quedar aquí por unos minutos para hablar con todos.
Okay.
Thanks, gracias. I'm sorry, my computer's just slow. I'm getting to the back to the presentation where we were. Almost there, almost there. Okay, PTA, here we go. All right, we're back in business. All right, so of course, we've got a very strong and thriving PTA, and some of the parents from our PTA are here with us tonight, and I'm gonna let them speak in just a quick second, but very briefly, just to let you know, our PTA does a ton of wonderful things to support our school, and we are so eager to welcome even more parents to get involved in our PTA in any way that you're able. So without further ado, I think Allison's on the call, right? Allison, are you here?
Yes.
So
Hi, everybody. My name is Allison Overholzer, and I am the proud mom of a rising senior. We have had an excellent experience here at the museum school, and I am co-president of the PTA with Jamie Conroy, who can't be on the call tonight. But through the PTA, We do run various fundraisers throughout the year. We run a lot of raffles. We just finished our online auction. We had a picnic last week. We just got an ices truck for the students last week for the last week of school, doing ice cream socials in the fall. And we help support the school by funding some of the museum modules that your students will take part of, as well as helping to finance the school website. And we also supply the teachers with money gift cards in the beginning of the year to help stock up their classroom. And, you know, we try very hard to build a community with the parents, and we hope that you guys will want to help out. I can tell you just from some things about my son. My son, as I said, is a rising senior. He's on the LMU varsity baseball team and does participate in a bunch of clubs, such as the Sports Statistics Club, the Finance Club, and the Community Service Club. So it is definitely a very well-rounded school, and we can't wait for you to be a part of it. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, there's no chat up, but please feel free to email us at PTA at NYC. We'll get the music. I think I just like lost my mind a little bit, but we'll get you the PTA Gmail account. And you can always send us an email.
All right, these are just some photographs of our school. If you haven't been here yet or can't make it here to the in-person orientation, this is a little virtual tour. You've got our school entrance here. Got another view of our school entrance. You enter on 17th Street between 8th and 9th Avenues. You just enter through the main courtyard that way. There's a separate student entrance just to the right of where you are looking for morning entry and lunch entry, because it funnels students through the place where they swipe their ID cards. But generally speaking, this is the main entrance to the school here. It's just a typical classroom, got kind of large rooms. Most of them have windows on all sides. Another science classroom here. You'll notice there's a big demonstration table up front.
We all have new desks now, though.
Oh,
Sorry to
that's
interrupt,
right.
Mr. Lowy, but
No,
that's just the exciting part. No more of these older desks.
Right. I was just about to say exactly that. Our desks are now sort of triangle shaped, and students can move them together and apart in different configurations. They're nicer than these, but these are the old pictures. We've got lots of museum school gear. This is just one version of all the museum school shirts and sweatshirts and hats and sweatpants and, oh gosh, t-shirts, and I'm sure I'm missing things, blankets, right? There was a ton of museum school merchandise that we have for sale, and we're really excited about that. And students love wearing it. It's a pretty cool logo, I think. This is our art teacher, Ms. Abraham, and one of our former students modeling for you our beautiful sweatshirts and our lockers.
And if I'm not mistaken, this merchandise will be available during our in-person tours. So you can purchase some gear when you come and visit.
This is our gymnasium, where it's a nice big large gym. Our auditorium. That happens to be that was our chorus a couple of years ago. Our cafeteria. We have a big schoolyard now. Actually, the schoolyard's going to be redone. And I know, Ms. Rodriguez, you have a picture of that now worth sharing, or we'll put it in the Google Classroom?
I believe I uploaded to the next slide, the new and improved schoolyard.
Yeah.
There it is. So actually our current students played a role in redesigning the schoolyard. So we're hoping in 2 years, it'll be completely revitalized and accessible to all of you, our sports teams. You know, there's an outdoor classroom as well, which is going to be really interesting. So we're really excited about this space.
These are some pictures from our cultural night, our multicultural night. And this is just students showing off different cultures. They bring in food. They set up tables with pieces of significant artwork or displays or photographs, and dressed in traditional attire from their countries. And it's really an exciting experience for all of our students. We mentioned our in-person tours. You can sign up through the Google Classroom that we just mentioned. And again, they're Thursday the 23rd at 1 p.m. and Wednesday the 29th at 10 a.m. If you can't make this time because your summer plans have begun or you've got other obligations or whatever, that's totally fine. You will have a chance before the school year starts in August to visit the school then. So don't feel pressured to come, but we would love to see you if you want to get an early jump on what the school building is like if you haven't been here before. And then again, we mentioned our fall in-person orientation, Wednesday, August 31st, 1 p.m. You do not need to sign up for that. We will be sending plenty of information in the mail, in the actual mail, the physical mail, and in Google Classroom, as well as by email. All right, here, this slide is really important. Again, we'll leave it up for another second if you don't have it yet, to go to Google Classroom and join this class. It's class of 2026, and it's BRPTRGO. All right, we'll also be doing direct outreach to students with IEPs. That's an individualized educational program. If we need to hold amendments or reconvene meetings in August and September to make sure that the services that your child needs are accommodated by our school, because we are committed, of course, to accommodating every student's needs. Sometimes we just need to adjust the number of periods per week for a particular section, something like that, but just basic adjustments to match the schedule. But we are, again, I want to reinforce that we are pleased to be able to provide every support that is necessary for a student coming in with an IEP. All right, I am going to stop the share right now, the screen share, and we're going to open up question and answer for everyone.
I just wanted to take a moment just to thank our staff members for jumping on this evening, as well as our parents for sharing a little bit of information about the parent perspective at the school. I'm available throughout the summer, actually throughout most of the summer. We do have limited access to our school. There are some projects that are happening throughout the summer, some painting and other building improvement projects, but I'm around. I would have been happy to give individualized tours, but we will be offsite most of the summer. AP Mr. Lowy will also be available as well. Of course, we're always available via email, and we hope to see you in person. And again, due to this surge of demand of folks wanting to come and see the building, we did add a second tour for next week. So if you're interested in coming to see the school, come on by. Otherwise, you'll have to wait till August when I come back from Portugal.
So the chat is now open, and I think that's probably the easiest way to take questions. You want to put them in the chat, and we will get to them as you enter them. All right. I'm typing a message in Spanish, and I'm just going to speak in Spanish for a second too. Bueno, si alguien aquí necesite la traducción en español, no te vayan, quédense aquí unos minutos y después de que contestemos las preguntas, hablaremos en español un poquito.
Gracias.
Sí, de nada, no hay problema. All right, so starting with a question about paleontology. We'll start with that question from Jordan Lavelle. Our museum module classes connect in some way. There's a couple of classes that I can see connecting with some version of paleontology. For example, there's a course in 9th grade called biodiversity that looks at the theory, it's not even a theory, the study of evolution and how evolution by natural selection was identified and discovered, and some of that involves paleontology and looking at fossils. And we've got a course in sophomore year called geology, which certainly looks at rock formations and certainly addresses the idea of sedentary rock formations containing fossils and evidence of prior life on Earth, but not a course that's specifically paleontology. Wellness Wednesdays, Ms. Hindwell, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So Wellness Wednesdays began with the counseling department last year when we were remote, and it's really become part of the culture of our school. We have done so many different activities for Wellness Wednesday. They do often revolve around some SEL work. So sometimes it's self-awareness, or we're working on relationship building. Some of the activities we did this year, in the fall, we did a team building activity where students were in smaller groups and, had to build a pencil pyramid, and then they had to make a spider web. So we just kind of some team building. We've also done things like some gift card giveaways, to do something different and celebrate our accomplishments. We went over to Little Island. For those who are familiar, we're actually not too far. We're very close to the High Line and we're close to Little Island. So everyone in the school went over to Little Island to do different activities. So it's centered on SEL work, but it's very much evolving with each month as to what we think our students need at that time. Do they need some time to kind of have a meta moment and really work on some internal monologue skills? How do we strengthen our own beliefs in ourselves and, believing that we can do things? So it's been a really great experience for the students and continues to evolve with their support. I guess continuing to the next question.
Yeah, at some point, I think I'll just turn off the chat. So, just so we can make sure we get to all the questions.
Yes.
Those emails there. So I'll give you another, 30 seconds, a minute to enter anything that's not already there in the chat, and then we'll turn it off just to make sure we can get to everything. All right. The schoolyard, the new schoolyard will be open to the entire community. That's a part of the plan in terms of the schoolyard. Right now, it's just for our school, but with the renovation, there'll be hours when the yard is open to the entire community, which is also why we encourage our students to get involved in the planning process, even if they'll be graduated by the time that they're finished with the construction of the schoolyard, because we're proud of being a part of this local community. I want to be able to make sure that the resources we have are for our students, but they're also for everybody who lives in this community.
But when the students are in, I say this as someone who knows Chelsea very well, and my son's middle school schoolyard is open to the community and there's like drug dealing and drug use. Is there will the community be coming into the schoolyard while the kids are using it? Or is that like,
No,
it would be nice if they weren't?
No, we're talking about like weekend use of the schoolyard.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Drama, is there an annual play or drama production or a band? There has been. We've got a theater module, a drama module that produces, the kids do some work, but they haven't produced a play. But there have been in the past, and I don't know for this coming year whether there will be or not, but there is a band, there's a guitar club as well, and there's a music theory club as well. So these are opportunities that students who play these instruments can play. And Mr. Stein is the advisor of the guitar club, and Mr. Gonas, who's not here, was the advisor of the music theory club. The modules are assigned to students in each grade, and they follow those modules usually in a similar sequence. So whichever module students are assigned to in October, that same group will be in the module in December, and then again in March and May. So they're with that same group most of the time, but we usually assign them because every student takes all of the modules at some point in the year. So it's not a matter of like, I want to choose ones I want and ones I don't want. Everybody will get whichever are offered. They just may get them in a different order. Typical career path. I don't think there is one. A typical career path for our seniors. They all go off to college. That much I know. We really prioritize our students going to four-year colleges, and
mostly cooties.
I'm sorry.
Are they mostly city colleges, or are they? Do they?
Yeah, they're all over.
Percentage-wise, like, do you have an idea of percentage-wise how that works? What the makeup is like?
Do you know, Laura?
The list is going to be posted on the school website. It's a high percentage of students going to private colleges and then going to SUNYs and CUNYs. I don't have the exact number of percentage, but it's definitely a mix of all three.
Okay.
I saw a question about photography and digital art. One of our seniors is going to the Art Institute of Chicago, the School of Art of Chicago. So can't go in less than that, pretty prestigious.
Sure, and another one is going to Pratt, which is pretty cool. Let's see, the school supply list will be posted in Google Classroom. It's probably not there yet, but it will be. And that will address Jamon James's question, I think, when you see it. And certainly in terms of textbooks carried back and forth, most students don't need to carry their textbooks with them, these heavy textbooks back and forth every day. If a student is signed out a book, it's usually with the idea that they're keeping it at home. because they'll have resources in school. And so much is electronic nowadays as well, and able to be posted and accessed electronically, that sort of changes the idea that students have to carry so many things with them. The lockers are used, typically students can drop off things in the locker in the morning, and they can pick up their things before lunch, and then after lunch, then after school. We don't encourage students to go to the locker in between every class period. It's just disruptive, and it's not necessary, really. They can carry their things for class with them for a couple periods a day at a time before they need to go back to the lockers. The selecting of students for the sailing program is actually new this year, that we'll be doing some of the selection. So I don't have a good answer for that. In the past, Hudson River Sailing has done their own selecting process, where they've interviewed students and determined who they feel is a good fit for their program. They've asked us to assist in that process as well, to ensure that when students commit to this program, that they're truly committed to the program itself, and that they're not signing up just because they don't want to get phys ed credit, right? Or just because they I don't know, whatever the reason is. So we're going to do our best to make sure that we've got students who genuinely love the idea of sailing, and they love the idea of learning about New York Harbor, and all the ways that all the connections between that process and the lives that we all live here in New York. So that's ultimately what we're going to do.
And Hudson River Sailing is a 4-year program, right?
It doesn't, students don't have to continue 4 years, but one of the things that we'll be looking for is that kind of commitment for students to be able to continue on for 4 years. If you take the Spanish proficiency level, Spanish 3 level, and you take that as a freshman and as a sophomore, I don't know at this point if that's the case, because the proficiency really only grants you 1 year of high school credit. So whether or not you're at a level 3 functionally, you have to have 3 years of high school level foreign language credit for the advanced Regents diploma. So allowing you to skip right into Spanish 3 might not be practical at this point, because we want to make sure that you were able to get the credit necessary. And the proficiency only grants you year 1. It doesn't grant you year 2. So it's a question that we can consider on a case-by-case basis as that comes up, if there's something particularly unique about a student's circumstances. But for now, it's a tentative no. You probably can't take Spanish 3 as a freshman. What is the project-based? I was wondering what is the project-based going to be? I'm not sure I understand the question fully, but much of our work in all of our classes and our museum modules is project-based. Students create sort of application-based projects, highlighting the big concepts they've learned in those classes, in addition to traditional learning opportunities as well. There is regular homework, there's regular tests, there's quizzes, and there is group work, individualized work. There's all that kind of work in classes, but there's also a lot of projects that students engage in to be able to really show the application of their learning. I don't know if I should be in algebra or geometry if I was in school that doesn't take Regents exams. That's a good question. Is it long you want to?
Yeah, I have two thoughts. One is, and I put this out to anyone, is there are Regents exams in August, and I understand that some middle schools did not offer them. So that is one option. If a student feels that they are ready to take that Regents exam in August, reach out to us by email, and we'll make sure our emails are in the Google Classroom. And you could take the Regents. The other thing, if you don't want to go that route, possibly tomorrow, the Regents that they just took this week will be posted. And I would say take a practice Regents, because really what we want to do is make sure you are in the right math course to support your growth. Our goal is for students to make it to higher level math, pre-calculus, AP calculus, AP statistics. And so we want students to be in the right mathematical setting. So that would be the backup option, is at least take a practice test, do the summer assignments, and really, you can have conversations with the teachers, and we'll make sure we find the right setting for you for the fall.
Thanks. All right, the next question is about choosing Japanese 1 or French 1. There'll be a survey that gets sent out in terms of your ranking your preferences, and we do our best to give everybody the preference that they want to have. It's not always possible. We do our best, and we did well last year with giving students the foreign languages that they requested. So there will be a foreign language preference survey that you will receive before the end of the summer. I'm sure I couldn't tell you exactly when, but in July likely at some point. And the speed with which you complete it it's not like those who fill it out first get first shot. We do our best to make sure everybody has a chance, because we know you'll be on vacation. We know you won't be sitting in the computer all summer, or I hope you won't anyway. And therefore, when you're able to fill out that survey, you'll be able to do so in calmness. How would you describe the level of academic rigor? That's a great question. I mean, I think, I don't know, Ms. Rodriguez, you want to talk about it?
I'll be happy to. Sure. So we have, as part of our vision, we see ourselves as warm demanders of students, right? We care for students, we challenge students. The work is grounded in text. Through complex text, grappling with text, engaging students in discussion protocols, through mathematics, through science, using the language of scientists, the language of mathematicians, in PE, right? The science of physical education, et cetera, et cetera. There was a question also regarding areas moving forward, right? Areas of improvement. And I would say regarding student agency, right? As a school, we've developed the structures where students have a voice, students have a choice. So we've established several committees where students are part of our instructional leadership team, giving us feedback on our instructional learning plan. Students are part of our grading policy committee. So we're encouraging students, there will be a survey sent out where students can fill out throughout the summer, and we'll get started right away in September. But most importantly, we make content relevant to the lives of students. And that's really where the connection to the school is forged. And students can access that zone of proximal development where they're grappling with content, being supported by their teacher, and challenged to take those risks in the classroom.
All right, next is, how is the school's library? I will say growing. We have a new librarian this year, and we have a brand new library space that was opened up just for her, because the library at one point was under construction and it became classrooms. So we created a new library space on the first floor, and it's shared by all 3 schools in the building. But our librarian, fantastic. She's a new librarian, and she's got all kinds of energy to grow the program, to connect with students, and has a very wide understanding of what a library is. It's not just a room with books on a shelf. The library is a living, breathing space where students come in and do research and discuss literature and find both print resources and electronic resources and learn skills about writing. And she's fantastic. She will be going on a maternity leave, but only briefly, so she'll be here most of next year. And she's super excited to meet our new students. And she would have been here tonight if she were able to, because she's really, really excited about her work with all 3 schools in this building. There's a private question about the wait list. I'm going to answer you privately too. That's for Elizabeth, all right? So, or Lucas. So I'll come back to you shortly, Lucas. If you participate in soccer, can you also participate in Hudson Sailing? Yes, you can, as long as you can work out the schedule yourself and make sure that your soccer practices don't interfere with your participation in Hudson Sailing, but there's no prohibition that if you're in one, you can't be in the other. Should students join the Google Classroom with a personal Gmail account or the NYC students account? Either one. Whatever. The classroom at this point should be allowing everyone to join with any email address. Is that right, Ms. Singalong?
Yes, that I set it up with no domain.
Okay, so Jamond or anybody else, whatever you're comfortable using. For language classes, is French 1 the only option? Can 9th graders do a more advanced French class? That's a good question too. We have had students who take the proficiency in French also and are ready for French too, because it's offered in Spanish and French. I don't believe it's offered in any other language, unfortunately, at this point. But at the same time, you're going to run into some difficulty if you don't have that proficiency, because we offer French 1, French 2, and French 3. There is no French 4 at the moment. So a student who starts with French 2 but doesn't have year 1 of high school French anywhere else in their background won't be able to get 3 years of the same foreign language. So it might not be the best idea to do that, because to get the advanced Regents diploma, you need 3 years of high school level foreign language or its equivalent high school level. So, and we can't just kind of grandfather in a student's level of experience and say, well, they're ready for French 2 or Japanese 2 even, or whatever it is, without any kind of background official test designated by New York State or New York City that would grant you credit. So again, we might need to talk about that offline one-on-one, but that's just so you know, that's been the plan for foreign language at the moment. How long will the in-person tour be? Do you have a list of colleges the current seniors are going to? So Ms. Hinterlong mentioned the colleges will be on the website shortly, and the tour, I'm not sure, an hour, I imagine, probably won't be much longer than an hour on those days. How do they log onto the Google Classroom? Here's where my expertise runs out. So Ms. Hinterlong or Mr. Rodriguez, is there a tip that you can give someone? I don't really know.
Yeah, you should be able to just go into the Gmail to add a Google Classroom and just add the code, because I made sure earlier I took the filter off. Like we normally set it up so that it's only for museum school emails, but I took that filter off earlier. So everyone should be able to log on.
Yeah. I think-
If you are having any difficulties, I'll put my email in the chat so that you can have my email. You could send me an email privately and I can see if there's something, some issue with that particular email, but it should work.
All right, the next question is from Mr. Rodriguez. What are your main objectives, changes planned for the school, and is your faculty and board? Did you answer that already, Mr. Rodriguez? Okay, I think you answered that already.
Yeah, I think that was answered in, I packaged that in my response from the last question, but
But thank you.
happy to expand on that. And I just dropped my email in the chat. So if folks want to meet with me throughout the summer, I'm happy to meet with you via Zoom, Google Meet, in person. Again, I'm around until August 13th through the 28th.
The chat is off now, but when I put it on, you can put it in. The question, how is the science program? It's one of the programs that we're proud of, and we're proud of all of our programs, but there's a lot of science offerings here. And we mentioned already just 2 of them in the 9th grade, which is living environment and marine biology. But in 10th grade, students have the option of AP environmental science or earth science. In 11th grade, there's chemistry. In 12th grade, we've got physics or AP biology. And then we've got science museum module courses as well. So I mentioned biodiversity, I mentioned geology, and there's a forensics course as well. So that's just on my little fingers. I'm counting 10 different science offerings, some being full year courses and some being museum module courses. So we do feel like we give students a really great background in the sciences. So if they wish to proceed with some other science career, they often can do so feeling very confident about what they've experienced here in high school. If a student took Spanish in 6th grade, does that count as Spanish 1? Only really with the proficiency exam. It technically doesn't. And a lot of schools do that. They give students a year of Spanish or even 3 years of Spanish, but they're not at a level that is designated as high school level Spanish. So unfortunately, if it's just a 6th grade Spanish class, it likely would not count as Spanish 1. Is there an app for Google Classroom? There is. There should be an app for Google Classroom that you can download from, I know I have it on my phone from the App Store, and I think you should be able to find it. Girls volleyball is only in the fall. That's correct. That's when PSAL, Public School Athletic League, determines what season each sport will be in, and volleyball is a fall sport. All right, does the art curriculum include any digital art? My daughter has excelled in the digital art program, and I think Ms. Vizzy, you answered that a little earlier, but it does, and more so when you get to senior year. We've got 2 art teachers, actually, Ms. Abraham and Ms. Agonas, who is also our school's dean, but she's an expert in Photoshop and photography, and she taught a senior class this year about photography and Photoshop. She's had clubs after school in the past. I don't know what this year will hold in terms of those offerings, but yes, there is the opportunity to experience some digital art. We also have internships that students can participate in too if they're not getting the kind of support that they'd like in that area here in the building. All right, yes, definitely sign up for the newsletter on that link. Thank you, Allison. If someone didn't take the Regents, we addressed that already earlier about taking the Regents from private school.
Yeah, I guess because it's coming up, just to reiterate. So some options, if you did not take if your important point is that the curriculum that you followed in 8th grade aligned with an algebra curriculum. We're not going to put a student into geometry if they did not take an algebra curriculum in 8th grade. So if you did not take a Regents, but you know that that's what your 8th grade math curriculum was, you could get a copy of the syllabus from your teacher and submit that to us. Again, looking at the summer work, what how much of that 8th grade work you feel very confident with. And then there is an option for students to take the Regents in August, so that you'd have that first math Regents on your transcript. So that option would exist.
Great. Will you ever offer boys tennis? We have explored that in the past. Every year there's sort of like an interest that is generated to figure out if there's enough interest to have a boys tennis team. There hasn't been in the past. But that said, I can't tell you that every year there won't be. Each year we try to reassess what sports interests and needs there are. So unlikely for this coming year, but I can't say that there will never be a boys tennis team, because there very well may be that level of interest that's generated in the school. Now I have a direct message here, but I'm going to address it for everybody because I think it's useful. If a student took earth science instead of living environment, what science will they be in next year? So ninth grade, then, if you have not taken living environment, you'll still be in living environment. But if you have taken and passed the Regents in earth science, when you get to 10th grade, you'll automatically be placed in AP environmental science instead of earth science, which is our 10th grade course. So no matter what, if you've taken one of these science classes, whether it's living environment or earth science in middle school and done well on that Regents exam, you won't repeat the course. So you just may, it may be a 10th grade adjustment we make in your schedule rather than a 9th grade adjustment. Can incoming freshmen take French or Japanese 1 instead of taking Spanish? I imagine the question means if you have taken the proficiency in Spanish, but kind of wish to jump ship and take French or Japanese instead, the answer is yes, you may. So if, let's say you did take the proficiency in 8th grade and Spanish in 7th and 8th grade and took the proficiency and have a year of foreign language credit coming in, but you don't wish to continue with Spanish, you can instead begin French or Japanese.
What about students who took the US history Regents, but it got canceled this year?
If you have a waiver for that exam because it got canceled already, that will affect you in 11th grade. In 11th grade, when our 11th graders take US history, you won't be expected to take that exam or that course, and you would be placed in advanced placement United States history instead of Regents United States history.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not, it's becoming more common what you're describing, that students in middle school are taking US history. All right, so if 65 is passing for the Regents, why do students need a 75 to continue to the next level? That's a good question. And the reason is because it's considered the college proficiency score. So I know it's a CUNY standard, but we hold that for every standard. So even if you're not don't plan to go into a CUNY school. If you get a 65, for example, on algebra or a 65 on English, you will still be expected to take remedial courses once you hit college because that score is not considered the proficiency level of a college. It's not considered college preparation enough, college preparatory enough. So we hold that standard to say 75 is really the benchmark for being tested out of that course. You don't want to move forward with a grade you want to move forward with a higher grade to demonstrate to colleges that you have that level of proficiency in math and also in English.
And ultimately, when the transcript is sent to the college, the highest score is what we will send. So it is to a student's advantage if they retake the course and get that higher score and then move on to those, to geometry, to the algebra 2, and then making it to a higher level math in senior year.
What is the average class size for core classes? It depends on the grade, but it could be as high as 34 if it's a really popular class that everybody clamors to get into, like one of the advanced placement classes, or it could be 25, right? It really depends. So let's say average is 30, but it could really be plus or minus from there. We also have boys volleyball eventually. It's the same answer as tennis. If there's an interest, we would certainly have that possibility. This coming year, no. And do any of your students go to overseas universities? We have had a few students go to overseas universities. It certainly requires additional work on that student's part to get themselves applying and get out there and be ready for that. But absolutely, we've had students be interested in universities in England, in Canada. That's not overseas exactly, but out of the country. Depends on what route you take to get there. How does a student access the Spanish proficiency exam if they have not taken any Spanish yet but have a base? That's a good question. I believe you would have had to have been given it by your middle school. I don't think you can privately access it or just sign up for it in August like you could one of the regular exams. Is that right, Ms. Indalong?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so unfortunately, James, I know that that's going to be the case with a lot of students, that they come from a background where they speak that language perfectly fine and would like to be at a higher level, but our rules about policy and what we can give credit for are rather strict. Now, there's a different scenario if you have ever been in school in a foreign country and completed years of study after the age of 12, I believe it is, right?
Mm-hmm, correct.
Yeah, where you could therefore earn foreign language credit for having been in school in a foreign country, taking classes in that language. So it can't be like an American university in Germany or wherever, if you're taking classes in English. But if you've lived in another country and taken courses in that language, in that country, in their school system, that's a separate conversation, and you can talk to one of us separately, and we can probably give you foreign language credit for those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
When will students receive MetroCard assignments? Like day 2 of being in school, we get them out to you as quickly as we can. It's super important that students have a way to get back and forth from school. So we don't make you wait. We do our best to get those cards in the hands of students as quickly as possible. And then Mr. Rodriguez answered Monique's question. And then is baseball for boys and softball for girls, or are they both co-ed? As far as I know, baseball is co-ed. I'm not aware of softball. Andre, Mr. Rodriguez, do you know if that's the case with sports, with baseball and softball being co-ed?
I don't believe so, but I also someone was unmuted, so I didn't hear your response.
Oh, no, just that I believe that girls can try out for baseball. I really do. I don't think that
Yeah.
there's a prohibition on that, but I don't know if boys are trying out for softball. I don't know.
Right.
So sorry, Jane, I don't have a better answer for that question. And we can certainly find out, and I can get back to you on that if you want to drop me an email or remind me, but I'll do my best to get that information for you. There seem to be several exam questions. Can you clarify? The students completed 8th grade math, but didn't take the exam. I assume they were placed in algebra. Laura, that is the case, right?
Again, if the 8th grade curriculum though aligned with algebra, that is, and this, you could provide a syllabus. And again, I would really recommend a student take a practice Regents exam at a minimum over the summer, because we don't want to set anyone up to be in over their head. We want to make sure everyone's in the right math course for next year. Feel free to email me if you do have specific questions about your student and what might be the best math setting for next year.
All right, and then questions about phys ed, about is there a gym for lifting? Currently, no, we don't have a weight room at the moment. There was one at one point, but the space was needed for something else. So it's not a current weight room, unfortunately. And I don't know if it's done in PE. Mr. Urbach, I don't think you do weightlifting in PE, correct?
No, we don't do per se weightlifting, but we do fitness and other types of fitness as well.
And then lastly, are there any other trips planned for the school year that are not module focused? At this point, the Wellness Wednesday activities have involved off-campus experiences. There's nothing else at this moment that's in the works. I can't say that that's impossible, that I don't know that there'll be some plan for something unique for students this year, but because there are so many museum module trips, there haven't been pretty much other trips to go elsewhere, because we really do need to also have that core instructional time in our classes. All right, we've gotten through all the questions in the chat here. I do want to make sure that I speak in Spanish to anybody who needs to stay around and get any information in Spanish. So I'll say that in Spanish too. Gracias por esperar, la gente que necesita la traducción en español. Gracias por esperar y escuchar las contestaciones en inglés. Pero si todavía están aquí, podemos hablar en unos minutos más. Gracias por esperar.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Lowy. Thanks, everyone. We appreciate you. There will be opportunities for parents to join some of our school-wide committees as well. So there will be an interest form that will be sent out. And I look forward to you reading my newsletter every Sunday morning. So good to see everyone. I'll see you in person if you can make it. If not, have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Save the date. August 31st is our in-person orientation, so please mark your calendars. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
All right, again, if you would like to speak in Spanish, si quieren hablar español, no te vayan. All right, so podemos hablar por unos minutos y gracias. ¿Dónde está la señora?
Creo que fui la